Clear accusations. Medical records that were leaked. A youngster ensnared in a tempest. Hip-hop artist Blueface and reality TV personality and rapper Chrisean Rock's long dispute has now reached a new boiling point. And this time, it's about more than just toxic love or drama on social media. It concerns claims of pregnancy abuse, their infant son's severe health problems, and a contentious dispute over who is actually to blame for the child's condition. We're dissecting the entire timeframe tonight. From startling allegations of assault to leaked hospital documents, as well as the couple's tumultuous relationship and the highly visible conflict between fans, critics, and families. The details of this tragedy, which has been told in real time on Instagram Live, radio interviews, and gossip blogs, are both devastating and unsettling. Chrisean's unsettling memory of a night in Las Vegas sparked the most recent round of controversy. She recalled being very pregnant and sitting on the end of a bed when Blueface allegedly launched a vicious attack. In an honest and heartfelt statement, she says he said to her, "Your tummy is going to bleed if you move. Move. I'm going to murder this infant. You will be bleeding on a schoolyard crib for a month." She claims that after the threat, her body was repeatedly struck. However, the accusations didn't end there. Even the most cynical onlookers would be shocked by the violence. Chrisean continued, saying that Blueface drove her over with a car when she was 6 or 7 months pregnant. A young woman carrying a child who was allegedly hit and damaged by the child's father is a terrifying mental image in and of itself. There was more to this disclosure than just another argument on social media. It rekindled the controversy that had been simmering for months about abuse, responsibility, and the effects of such traumatic events on an unborn child. After the reported Vegas incident, Chrisean started to directly connect her son's health problems to the abuse she claims she suffered during her pregnancy. During live streams and interviews, she suggested that her infant's current medical issues could be related to those violent events. However, in a surprising turn of events, she also acknowledged that she is somewhat to blame for continuing the relationship in spite of the abuse. However, that recognition did not quiet detractors. Numerous internet critics, including those close to Blueface, brought up the fact that Chrisean was frequently spotted drinking and smoking during her pregnancy. She was seen disregarding supporters' repeated requests to stop using drugs and footage from Instagram Lives and public engagements. It was impossible for those onlookers to overlook her personal pregnancy choices when talking about the health of her unborn child. However, Chrisean's attention stayed focused on the alleged abuse, claiming that the physical and emotional trauma she experienced was a significant, if not the main, contributing factor to her baby's condition. The argument over responsibility grew more heated when private medical records purportedly belonging to her child, Chrisean Jr., appeared online. Some of the worst fears that had been circulating on social media for months seemed to be validated by the records: fetal alcohol syndrome, newborn abstinence syndrome, seizure disorder, stiffness, cortical vision impairment, and the requirement for continued specialized care were among the startling range of diagnoses they reported. For those who do not know, fetal alcohol syndrome is brought on by alcohol exposure during pregnancy and can result in physical deformities, behavioral problems, and developmental delays. When a newborn is exposed to drugs while still in the womb and then goes through withdrawal after birth, it's known as neonatal abstinence syndrome. Concerns were raised when both illnesses were found in the same medical file. Critics who had long accused Chrisean of substance seemed to gain more credence as a result. Abuse during pregnancy charges she had previously written off as unfounded gossip. Both sides were outraged by the revelation. While some perceived it as a flagrant invasion of privacy, others saw it as evidence that Chrisean's detractors had been correct all along. Blueface's own mother, Carissa Saffold, was among the most vocal opponents of Chrisean's story. She defended her son in interviews and social media posts, claiming that Chrisean was minimizing her own careless actions while portraying herself as the victim. Saffold was clearly frustrated. She maintained that Blueface was already serving his term in secret and without protest, and that now they're trying to pile on more stuff on him. She used the fact that Blueface has 2 other children who were born healthy as proof that Chrisean Jr.'s disability could not have been caused exclusively by the alleged abuse. Her critique, however, didn't end there. Chrisean was charged by Saffold with being the relationship's aggressor and ignoring repeated family and medical advice to abstain from drugs and alcohol throughout pregnancy. We have to go back to early 2023 to understand how this all unraveled, she said, adding that those decisions, not the alleged abuse, were the true cause of the baby's health issues. At that point, Chrisean shared pictures of several positive test results on Instagram to make her pregnancy public. Blueface publicly denied being the father, despite the fact that admirers showered her comments with congrats. He asserted that they were no longer together and questioned her loyalty, implying that paternity would have to be verified by a DNA test. When Blueface's mother came into the picture, flatly rejecting the pregnancy and implying that Chrisean was lying, the drama swiftly got out of hand. Definitely not pregnant, she went on to explain. If that man permitted such an exercise, he would lose his license. In the meantime, the public witnessed Chrisean's pregnancy develop, and it was everything but peaceful. She frequently partied, drank, and smoked in her social media posts. When he FaceTimed her during a broadcast and saw her smoking a joint while obviously pregnant, even DJ academics became entangled in the narrative. Intense arguments concerning her suitability as a mother were sparked by the widely shared video. To add even more drama, Blueface's mother went live on Instagram to confront Chrisean's sister Tessa and her friends. She said that they failed to intervene when they witnessed Chrisean use drugs while pregnant, not because they condoned it, but rather because they were afraid of losing her money. Saffold asserted that even if it meant jeopardizing her relationship with Chrisean, she would have stepped in if she had been in their shoes. One thing became evident from these encounters. Chrisean and Blueface weren't the only parties involved in this altercation, with each side blaming the other for encouraging poisonous conduct. It had devolved into a full-fledged family feud. After Chrisean Jr. was created, the disputes increased rather than decreased. Chrisean was left to take care of the infant alone after Blueface was arrested for violating his probation shortly after his arrival. However, Chrisean received even more criticism rather than sympathy from the public. Child Protective Services was called in after she was caught on camera bringing her baby into a smoking store, despite their past of splits, altercations, and public humiliations. She unveiled a huge face tattoo of Blueface around the same time. Tia Kemp was among the celebrities and influencers who criticized Chrisean for this choice, advising him to prioritize parenthood before rekindling a toxic romance. Kemp even asked why, given his age, Chrisean Jr. wasn't walking or running yet. Chrisean responded by instructing Kemp to give her a call rather than criticizing her in public. Seemed to change when the medical records were leaked, despite Chrisean's prior denials that her child was ill. The records seemed to indicate that he fancied numerous major health issues, many of which are connected to substance use during pregnancy. This served as the smoking gun for her detractors. She was a young mother in a bad relationship who needed care, not judgment, according to her supporters, who saw it as an opportunity to demonstrate compassion. The most important question, however, was still, what part did Blueface's claimed abuse play if the records were authentic? Could her son's health have been exacerbated by the violence she described in Vegas? Or did the diagnosis have a stronger connection to her own acknowledged and suspected pregnancy-related behaviors? For now, the solution is still unclear. As of June 2025, Chrisean has come out and accused Blueface of beating her when she was pregnant, including in the automobile and Vegas incidents. Blueface, who is still behind bars, has not directly addressed the accusations. Public sentiment is still divided. According to some, Chrisean was abused and made mistakes out of desperation. She is perceived by some as an untrustworthy narrator, accusing someone of abuse in order to avoid taking accountability for her child's situation. There is no denying that this story is far from over. Both parents are still under public scrutiny, and the child at the center of this dispute may have lifelong difficulties. Although decisions have already been made in the court of public opinion, the truth could not come to light for a long time in the real world. So, what do you think? Is this a heartbreaking account of abuse and neglect, or is it a warning about the perils of spending your entire life on the internet? Should one parent be held accountable, or are both parents responsible in this situation? The drama in this narrative never stops, so please share your ideas in the comments section and keep checking back. Keep checking back.